For the anthem, Helena Hansen will sing "We Tell Each Other Stories" by Craig Hella Johnson from the oratorio Considering Matthew Shepard. After singing the anthem, Helena will come to the podium to deliver her talk entitled "An Unexpected and Important Piece of Music, Considering Matthew Shepard." Helena Hansen is a 24-year-old who studies mechanical engineering in Denmark, where she was born. Some of you remember Helena Hansen from the time she spent as a foreign exchange student in Cambria from 2015 to 2016. Helena recently completed an internship in a biomedical program at the University of Arkansas. While there, she became involved with the choir named Schola Cantorum. Helena?
We tell each other stories so that we will remember. Try to find the meaning in the living of our days. Always telling stories, wanting to remember where and whom we came from, who we are. Sometimes there's a story that's painful to remember, one that breaks the heart of us. Still we tell the story, we're listening and confessing what we have forgotten in the story of us all. We tell each other stories so that we will remember. Try to find the meaning. The song I just sang is from a bigger choir piece. I have it right here, called Considering Matthew Shepard. It's part of a 33-piece score of music with a variety of music genres. It has a duration of 1 hour and 45 minutes. So with the time I have available, obviously I can't sing the whole thing, and also I'm missing the rest of the choir. So instead, I'm just going to talk about it. The piece tells the story of Matthew Shepard, who's a young boy who was brutally murdered by fellow students for being gay back in 1998 in Wyoming. It's a sad and horrific story. I'll come back to more of the details later. First, I want to rewind a little bit and tell you how I came across such a piece of music and why I personally think it's such an important story to tell. Since January, I've been in Arkansas doing a student internship as part of my studies to become a mechanical engineer. I've been doing research in the biomedical department, researching artificial heart valves at the University of Arkansas. It's been really fun and interesting, but not long after I came there, I started to miss my choir at home in Denmark. So at home, I sang in an ambitious, competitive girls' choir. And actually back in 2021, some of you may remember, I did a talk from Denmark on Zoom. It's nice to be here in person today, about an environmental related choir piece. So I started by singing today because I feel confident when I sing. I actually am more nervous when I'm talking in front of people. So just like at my dad's wedding when I was 8 years old, I was too scared to say the speech out loud that I had written. I could basically just read it. I was too scared to do that. So instead I got up in front of everyone and just sang an a cappella piece as 8 years old. So yeah, I really, really love singing, and I love my choir at home. So not long after coming to Arkansas, I started looking around to see for other choir options that I could maybe participate in. And through a friend, I got introduced to the choir called Schola Cantorum. Despite their auditions being, I think, a month earlier, and they'd already started rehearsing, and despite my Danish ignorance, forgetting to address the conductor, Dr. Caldwell, in the email when I asked if I could audition for his choir, and just typed, "Hello, Stephen. Could I get an audition? Is it too late?" He not only let me audition, he also gave me a spot as a second soprano. And so I sang with that choir for the entire semester. I just had to promise that I would work hard. I mean, this is a long piece of music. They'd already gone through probably this part. I had to self-study. But they were working on something big. What it was, I would have never imagined. And probably least of all in a state in the middle of the Bible Belt. I probably, like anyone else, had preconceived ideas about Arkansas. You might have as well. In part of the South, very religious, crazy people with lots of guns. I have friends from California tell me, why the hell, and pardon my language, but that's what they would say, why the hell would you want to go to Arkansas, of all places? I told them that I wanted to be culture shocked. I wanted to see the guns at Walmart. I wanted to go to a crazy church service where people would just throw their hands in the air and praise God. I wanted to see with my own eyes. And I also wanted to see the gorgeous nature that's there. There's a reason that it's called the natural state. It is gorgeous. I wanted to see the forests, the mountains, the flowing rivers and the waterfalls. I did not expect, though, to partake in a choir piece telling a story about a gay guy being murdered. I do have to say, though, that the area I was in, Northwest Arkansas, and I was in a college town, is known for being way more liberal, way more than I expected. And they, in this area, also almost call them, a different state. It's so different from the rest. So I think that was very fortunate. A college town being more accepting of a broader variation of people. But don't get me wrong, though, there were some of the college students that did not want to do this choir piece. I've been told that for this semester, more than 20 people had quit the choir because they didn't want to sing what they, were presented and what they had to sing. So let's go back a little bit to the story, what we're singing about. The music piece is written in honor and remembrance of Matthew. The lyrics uses some of his journal entries. It uses statements from his parents and tells the facts of the murder, the trial, and the conviction of the murderers. It's also a piece of forgiveness and love. And it starts on a more happy note since it's told chronologically. So we first hear about who Matthew was. This is from his journal entries, and then sort of takes us through the entire story. And I would like to play a piece from you, and it's called Ordinary Boy.
I love theater, I love good friends, I love succeeding, I love pasta, I love jogging, I love walking and feeling good. I love Europe and driving and music and helping and smiling and Charlie and Jeopardy. I love movies and eating and positive people and pasta and driving and walking and jogging and kissing and learning and
Yeah, so now I'm going to tell you the horrific story that happened to Matthew Shepard. On October 6, 1998, Matthew Shepard attended a meeting of the University of Wyoming's Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Association, then joined others for coffee at the College Inn. Around 10:30, he went to the Fireside Bar, where he later met Aaron McKinney and Russell Henderson. Initially, they had decided to rob him, but when they found out that he was gay, they decided to act friendly and lure him into thinking that they were gay as well. They got him into a car with them. Near midnight, they drove him to a remote area, tied him to a split rail fence, beat him horribly, and left him to die in the cold of night. The song I started out by singing talks about the importance of telling stories, even though they might be sad, and even though they might, for some, be controversial. Dr. Caldwell, my choir director, was very much aware and addressed the issue at a rehearsal that maybe someone in the choir, that just like people that quit the choir, there might be someone's parents or family members who were people in the choir that was not going to come to the concert if they knew the content or because they knew the content of it. And that sounded crazy to me, but I might be ignorant and biased in that opinion because I do come from a family where I, as the straight one, is the minority. My mom is gay, obviously makes my stepmom gay as well, and my sister's gay, and I come from the country in the world that legalized, the first to legalize gay marriages in churches. But I would hear singers say, just to each other in the corners, that there were certain family members, they not even told them that they were singing this, let alone invited, of course, but they didn't even know, wasn't aware that, they're working on a big piece like this and they were not going to tell them because they knew their opinions about that. So for the purpose of trying to open up people's minds and have a conversation about this, and to draw in more people, we held a Q&A a few days before the concert at St. Paul's Church in Fayetteville, where we sang the song We Tell Each Other Stories, little other small songs. And there was a panel all consisting of members of the LGBTQ plus community that had all been raised in very religious communities and now still, maybe in a little bit different way, was very much in touch with God and how they were dealing with this. And people could talk about their concerns and listen to them, and hopefully that would open their minds. And yes, for this purpose, we sang the song I started with. Now I would like to play another piece from you.
The next morning, Matthew was found by a cyclist, a fellow student, who at first thought he was a scarecrow. After several days in a coma and on life support, Matthew Shepard died on Monday, October 12th at 12:53 a.m. At the funeral, which took place on October 16th at St. Mark's Episcopal Church in Casper, Fred Phelps in the Westboro Baptist Church protested outside.
The only good fag is a fag that's dead.
Yeah. At dress rehearsal, the day of the concert, Dr. Caldwell let us know that he had received an email from no other than Fred Phelps himself, the leader of the Westboro Baptist Church, saying something to the extent of this: "May you burn in hell and take your whole choir with you. Expect to see us protest outside your concert tonight." That was a little hard to know, standing there. We've been tired, we've been rehearsing all day, and oh my God, okay. It left me a little bit scared, to be honest. I don't know what those angry people might, be able to do. And I would be wearing a dress. I would very much be showing that I was part of this concert. So this led me and my friend Karaman, who had introduced me to the choir, to warn our friends that were going to come, just say, we still want you to come, but we just want you to know that this might happen. There might be angry protesters outside. And when I did come, luckily there were a no-show. I don't know why. The weather was cold. Maybe they didn't get a permit soon enough. That's good. But anyway, there were police officers heavily armed outside of the facility. But there was a statement that stuck in my head, relations to all of this. It came from one of my Danish friends, Jens, who was there at the concert, and he was sitting in the front row. He said that at the concert, he had a second of concern that he could be a victim of a mass shooting in America. This would be the obvious place. And he regretted sitting in front because he should have sat in the back. He would have had a way better overview of the entire thing and wouldn't be as great as a target. That thought even just struck his mind as just really frightening to me. But it did, however, help light the fire of the anger that you will hear in this song, probably one of the songs we performed the very best that night. It's called Fire of the Ancient Heart.
How long to hold these griefs in our songs? How do we guard these fears in our hearts? Remembering anger, weave it with hope. Remembering exile, braid it with praise. Longing past horror, longing past dread, past all our pain.
this song was really a great experience. And we worked on it a lot, obviously, but there's this one phrase, you might get lost a little bit in there, but where we're all just yelling as loud as we can. And I remember that in the choir room just seemed really silly. It says this is from the book, individual vocalization of rage, grief, illumination, healing, release, and transformation. How do you do that? It didn't make any sense to me at first. But as we're standing there, all of a sudden in the middle and having all that crowd, it was just like we're all just one big group, and we just wanted to, we finally got to let off some steam, got to let off this anger. So yeah, all of a sudden we were just allowed to show how angry we were that all of this had happened. And that's a little bit, maybe you can see it. This is not the only story of something happening like this. It's not a one-time thing that happened just back in 1998, before I was even born. Events like this still happen all over the world, and there are places that my mom and my stepmom would never travel to. And even though there's this specific, case that did lead to the Hate Crime Prevention Act in America, it's still not fixed the problem. So it's my hope that talking about it and performing a piece like this can help things move in the right direction. I was impressed to see how much attention our concert got. We were in the newspaper, we were in the local radio, and we were even on the news in Arkansas.
Well, welcome back. A powerful and moving performance now coming to the U of A. It's called Considering Matthew Shepard. It's a story of a man who was brutally murdered in an anti-gay hate crime. 5 News photojournalist Joel Katner shows us how the piece is ultimately about the healing power of love and how we can use it to build a better society.
He went camping, he went fishing, even hunting for a moose. He met places.
This piece is an incredible piece of music, perhaps the most significant choral masterwork of the 21st century thus far. And I can't think of a better piece and a better message, especially in this time as we see more and more divisiveness around an issue that we thought perhaps was settled after the marriage equality decision.
I actually had no idea, it's kind of crazy because I feel like now I hear so many stories about so many awful things, and it's so sad to hear, but the fact that this story that was such a turning point, I never even heard about. Like, this has been going on for so many years and it still hasn't been fixed.
I am giving and understanding.
There's the 33 movements in the piece, and there are 33 distinct movements of 33 different styles, but all of the styles are derived from truly American forms of music. There's shape note singing derived from early church music, there's hymns, there is blues and gospel and jazz and country. Each movement has to be unique in its own character, and the students have to shift modes.
It's difficult and it has so many different parts. I've never sang country choral music, which has been really fun.
These instances are coming back up, and we see more and more violence in the trans community now, and other situations directed at the LGBTQ+ community. And this is a piece that tells their story, that tells a piece of that action, and it's a story of a signpost moment in American culture. The death of Matthew Shepard really helped move the needle of American culture to recognize that the LGBT community was vulnerable and needed additional protections that were not previously afforded to them.
Music is such an important part of my life, and I could not imagine not doing music and not doing difficult music that challenges me continuously.
Well, again, the performance is set to start 7:30 Saturday night at the Faulkner Performing Arts Center there on campus. Now, tickets are $20 for general admission and $10 for students.
Well, what was actually the very biggest surprise for me happened, I think it was just a regular rehearsal a couple of days before the concert. I stepped into the choir room and I realized we were on a Zoom call, and we were not. Dr. Caldwell said that instead he introduced us to Dennis Shepard, Matthew Shepard's father. He was sitting there right across from us in his house in Wyoming. They never moved because they knew how much Matthew loved that place and loved Wyoming, so they're still living in the same town in the same house. And there he was, the man who had lost his son so many years ago, the man whose words I've been singing for 3 months. It was completely surreal. And he was there, he said, open to answer any questions that we may have. Anything. There's nothing we couldn't ask about. I took a short video doing this that I'd like to show you.
Working on this piece, it's a difficult thing to do because the music is completely different. It's not one solid thing like rock and roll or jazz. It's everything. And I don't know how he's able to do it because I can't walk and chew gum, let alone carry a tune except with a CD and walk down the street. So congratulations and be proud of what you're doing. And I hope not only that it impacts you for the rest of your life, so you look at others differently, but it does the same thing to the audience. And then that you can have a talk back afterwards with the audience to talk about what the general purpose was behind the oratorio, what it means for getting along with others, and if you can't get any further from hate than tolerance, that's fine. But we'd rather have you go a step further to acceptance. But even better than that is you don't have to do those, just respect everybody.
Well, this man was so brave and a huge inspiration. I'll never forget listening to him talk. He would speak of forgiveness and how he faced the murderers in court and told them that he saw that they were humans as well, that they had made mistakes, of course, but so is he. No one's perfect. And there's actually a movement in this piece that's inspired by his speech in court called I Am Like You. That's him, the I, and the you are the murderers who killed his son. His wife was sad not to be able to be for the Skype call, but she did send a little letter with bracelets for all of us in the choir that we wore. It says erase hate, and then it says www.matthewshepard.org. And also, we were sent a lot of letters. All their letters that they had been sent through the years, they sent to us so we could show them as you walked into the concert. You can walk around and read all the letters that the family had received from people all around the world. This one might be able to say it, hang those bastards that did it. See, there's one thing that Dennis Shepard said that I thought was quite clever. He told this story. A person wakes up in the morning, takes a shower, maybe, hopefully, gets dressed, eats breakfast, goes to work or school, eats lunch, works some more, goes to the bathroom throughout the day, practices a hobby later in the day maybe, eats dinner and goes to bed, and does the exact same thing the next day. What gender does this person have? Is it a boy or a girl? What sexuality? Which beliefs or disbeliefs? It doesn't matter. It's all boring. People generally want the same things in life, a career, family, and friends, and what does it matter what that family might consist of? When I meet new people, I always tell them what I call my own personal riddle, that I have 4 moms and 2 dads. How does that work? People always try to guess the craziest things. That my dad has multiple wives is a popular guess from American people. They will guess that before anyone even asks if anyone in my family might be homosexual. I have a mom and dad, obviously. They got divorced, both remarried women. Well, that's 3 moms and 1 dad. So where's the rest? Well, let's see. Well, they're sitting right here. my American mom and dad. I also have a boyfriend, and he's sitting right there. And his parents are divorced as well. So maybe one day down the road, if we have children, they will have a whole lot of grandparents. And hopefully they can grow up in a world where they're free to love anyone that they want. That's my hope for the future, that I hope by telling this story and sharing it with you and being part of telling it in so many other ways through music, that I've helped move the world in that right direction. Thank you.